Guys, have you heard about the new movement towards better habits? Because it's being led by the sponsor of today's video, Fume. I'm not going to give you a hard time for having a bad habit. We've all got bad habits, but what if I could tell you there was an alternative that would help you kick that bad habit? Fume is an award-winning flavored air device that draws flavor to your mouth, not to your lungs. It's a great way to satisfy your fixation with non-toxic flavors, free from nicotine or vapor, and it's safe to use anywhere. My favorite flavor is crisp mint. It's refreshing and it's satisfying, and it doesn't come with any of the harmful effects that you would associate with some of those other less guilt-free devices. Fume fills the void when you're trying to ditch a bad habit, and it's backed by doctors throughout the U.S. Fume has already helped over 300,000 people develop better habits. I encourage you to try the Journey Pack today, and if you use my code Chael, you will get a free Fume topper, which is an awesome accessory that's going to help to level up your experience. Go to tryfume.com/Chael, or scan the QR code on the screen. And new! Wow. I must tell you, what happened to the good old day? What happened to the good old day when the biggest star in the sport could go out there and underperform a little bit, and the judges would give a screw job to the less popular guy? What happened to the good old day when it was a popularity contest disguised as a prize fight? I mean, I gotta tell you, not for nothing, but I could tell you plenty of times throughout history, and I could tell you plenty of administrations and judges and cycles that we've been through where Alex Pereira would still be wearing that belt. I saw this happen 1 week ago. It was called the Tank Davis fight. Pretty awesome. Pretty cool that we would have administrators courage enough to say what they saw and nothing else. And I know you take that for granted. And you think, Chael, why are you talking about that? Of course that's what they do. Well, of course that's what they were supposed to do. No, you'd have been very well within your means if you studied the history of fighting when that fight was over between Ankalaev and Pereira, and you were to predict, not who won, not you get asked who won, you were to predict who the judges are going to say won. Many, many decades upon decades. You'd have been the smart and reasonable one to say they're going to keep the belt around Pereira. If you ever get called on it, you just use an old adage that is not a rule, and you just go and look at the cameras and act like it is a rule. Which is to beat the champion. You really got to beat the champion. Which just means we screwed the champion. That's all it means. We screwed the other guy to protect the champion. That's all that's ever meant. There's no rule that you gotta really take it to the champion. No, it's just, you pretend it's a rule when you're getting ready to do the screw job. Listen, the world's a very interesting place. It's a very strange place. But in the world of fighting, guys, I'm not sure that the Alex Pereira that I saw tonight isn't the greatest Alex Pereira I've ever seen. I'm really not sure he's not. His kicks were on point. It's a kickboxing contest in the stand-up. Alex won the kick part. He did not win the boxing part. Alex is supposed to be somebody that you can go take down and beat up, particularly if you got a wrestling background, particularly if you got a wrestling background from Dagestan. That's the story. He never went down once. He showed takedown defense. As a matter of fact, you don't get very far when you start talking about Alex Pereira versus Jon Jones. You just don't get there because we know that Jon can throw him down and beat him up. Like, that's just something that Jon does so well. He can throw people down and then beat them up. Well, you go watch this fight and you go, well, hey, you know what? It turns out that old Alex Pereira ain't so easy to take down. It was really interesting. Alex Pereira really showed some stuff. That entire narrative that he can't wrestle and he can't defend is now gone. And by the way, I want to ask you a question. Is Ankalaev a man of his word? Does he get credit? Because his words were that I'm going to stand up and I'm going to kickbox with him. I'm going to beat him in the stand-up. That's exactly what he did. But he tried to take him down. So where do you go with that? I know I said that a little bit of tongue-in-cheek, but I really want you to leave me a comment below. Really, tell me. Does Ankalaev get credit for being a man of his word? Because what he said he was going to do is exactly what happened. But the intent was something else, wasn't it? I have attempted to explain this to young athletes that I work with. I've attempted to explain it to all of you. You don't have to take somebody down to out-wrestle them. If you want your wrestling to work, you don't have to get on top of the guy. You have to offer the threat. And when Randy Couture came in, And he really started to show the world how effective wrestlers could be. It was a night he fought Vitor Belfort. Randy grabbed him and they coined the phrase dirty boxing and he was uppercutting him. But it wasn't the uppercuts you needed to be watching. It was the point where he grabbed him. Because as soon as you grab a guy, you're wrestling. If you're not touching him, you're not wrestling with him. You're dancing with him. You're boxing with him. You're fencing with him. You're whatever in the hell else you want to be doing with him. You're not wrestling. The second you grab him, you're now wrestling. You don't have to get on top of him. So Ankalaev out-wrestled Pierre tonight. That's how he beat him. You said, but he never took him down. You don't have to. It's a misunderstanding by wrestlers that come into the sport and they get frustrated and they give it away. Close the distance and get a hold of the son of a bitch. Now you're wrestling him. You want to be effectively wrestling him? Push him into the fence and keep him there. Now you are now winning a wrestling component of the fight. You don't have to get him down. You don't have to use all your energy to get him down. Make that one big effort. When you get there, don't release and start over. Keep a hold of him and pummel and push. That is what Randy did. That is what Randy brought to the sport that wrestlers that knew what they were looking for saw. And it's what everybody else missed. And it happened to do with Randy's background, which was in Greco-Roman, where you get collar ties and you get chest to chest and you stand up and down. But Randy understood, to out-wrestle you, I just need to have my hands on you. To be wrestling you, I just need to be touching you. I don't have to get on top of you. And Ankalaev really did a good job with that. And we need to give Ankalaev his credit tonight. He comes out. Pierre is a notorious slow starter, but Pierre won the first round. Ankalaev was a really slow starter. And Pierre was chopping at his leg, and they weren't the world's best kicks, but sitting with Dominic Cruz, and he started keeping count, and he got all the way to 8. Even if they weren't the world's hardest kick, he kicked him 8 times. And Ankalaev had to make some adjustments. And make sure you understand, this was not Ankalaev's plan. Ankalaev revealed his plan, and that was to take him down, keep him there, win the fight that way. His plan failed. He had to go to plan B, and there's not a lot of fighters that can do that. Most fighters mentally will fall apart before they can shift gears. And Ankalaev deserves some props for that. I mean, look, where do you go from here? I, as a Pierre fan, I feel like I should be able to celebrate. I'm going to get what I want. What I want is Pierre at heavyweight. But Dana mentioned they're probably going to do a rematch. And my only pushback on that, I could get behind a rematch. I could go watch these guys for another 5 rounds. But if I'm to be real fair with you, there was nothing that I saw tonight. There was no illness. There was no injury. There was no bad game plan. There was nothing that I saw tonight. It was a 4-1 contest. There was nothing that I saw tonight in that 4-1. There was nothing that would make me believe if we go do rounds 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, we're going to get a different result. In fact, I don't think there is a different result, aside from Pierre connecting with some of those boxing things we talked about and knocking him out. But that's a two-way street. Ankalaev is just as likely to knock Pierre out in the next one, which I think we can all agree is very unlikely. They're probably going to go another 5 minutes. But what happens if Pierre wins? We go to a rubber match? No, please. Please, don't. Please. Don't make me watch. Not another 10 rounds of this. Let's see where this goes. I am still a supporter, a massive supporter. I thought Pierre showed maybe his most skills. I think if a poster comes out a month from now and it's a rematch with these two, I think you do great. People love Pierre and they'd watch Ankalaev. But I don't know that you get a bigger bounce if the poster was Yuri Prohaska versus Ankalaev. It seems about even to me. And if in a month from now we come out with a poster and it's Tom Aspinall versus Alex Pereira, I think you guys are pretty excited. That's my guess.